Hi everyone! So in this video I'm going to walk you through the orientation session for English 12. So this is the very first session that you're going to be completing for the fall semester. I'm starting off on the updates page because I want to walk you through how to get there. You go to materials, then you're going to go to course content, and then our orientation is right there. A couple of tricks that you may want to know about. One is next to the materials you can see a little drop down here. If you click on course content, it'll take you directly to the course content folder without having to go to the materials folder along the way. And if you're in materials, you can use that little button to open up and see what folders are inside the course content folder. All right, one of those little tricks that you learn along the way. So I'm going to jump over to course content and then orientation. I'm going to start with our session plan page. The session plan page is where you're going to find the video overview for the week, list of things that you're going to be completing that week, as well as a suggested schedule. I don't want you to be overwhelmed. The orientation session should take you somewhere in the neighborhood of an hour to complete. So an hour sometime in the first 3 days of school to get your orientation done in English 12. First page has a course tour. If you haven't watched that already, please go ahead and do that. I just walk you through some of the basic tools that we use in this class and kind of how to find them. Next, you're going to take a look at the syllabus. There is a link to the syllabus right here, but you can also find it in the course information folder. So if I drop this down right here and hit course information, I would also find the syllabus there. I'm going to open the syllabus right here so we can take a look. There we go. Some really, really important things to make sure that you pay attention to in the syllabus. I'm just going to run through it really quickly. There's an overview of all of the sessions that we'll be studying this whole year, actually, not just first semester. I have both of those in here. There's all my contact information. Make sure you save that to your phone. Materials needed. You will need a novel in November, one of these four, so you want to make sure you're prepared with that. We're also going to be reading Hamlet, and so if you want a print copy of that, you may want to go ahead and get that. Otherwise, I have an online version that you can use. And then there's some stuff about second semester texts as well. There's some expectations in here around time. These are really, really important, especially that every week you should plan about 5 to 7 hours to spend on English. That's the equivalent of if you came to my class for 1 hour on all of your school days, okay? And so you want to think about where is that 5 to 7 hours and how can I schedule that in? My most successful students know exactly when they're going to work on English every week, and they sit down and do it every single week. If you just think, oh, I'll get to it when I get to it, it may not get done. So you want to be careful about that. There's a note in here talking about on Thursdays you'll get a new week worth of content, and our due dates are on Wednesdays. So you have a whole week to complete a session that will be due on Wednesday by midnight. Okay, there is a late work policy. What I ask is that you obviously turn things in on time is the #1 best way to do it. But if you miss a due date, you can earn 80% late credit. So that means if you scored perfectly on the assignment, you could get 80% credit for it late, as long as we're within the current session. So as long as we're still current unit. If we're still working in Unit 1, you can still submit late work. Once Unit 1 is done, however, Unit 1 completely closes and everybody jumps to Unit 2, there's no late work from Unit 1 any longer. And so I do plaster that last day for late work on each unit everywhere in the course, so you will have a heads up about it. But do be careful to make sure you're getting your assignments in on time. It's really important because we're all working together on so many things and giving each other feedback. It's important for us to stay together as a group. But also it's important for making sure that you're pacing through the course and getting things in on time and not falling behind so that it's too much work to complete at the end of a semester. All right. One quick point about discussion board postings: there is no late credit on discussion boards. That's because it's kind of like walking into an empty classroom and talking to yourself. Not really a good move. So I do ask that you get discussion boards completed by the due date, or there is no credit available. Now, I know sometimes we have emergencies, we have weird circumstances that happen. If you can't make a due date, please contact me. I'm usually willing to work with you. I give a couple of late work extensions during the course of a semester to various students for various reasons. If it becomes a habit that you're asking every week, then I might have to start saying no. But for the most part, I'm willing to work with you and waive late penalties if you communicate with me about what's happening. The biggest thing is to make sure that you're communicating. Other important thing that's in the syllabus is attendance. Although I am very flexible about when and how you complete your work, the state is a little less flexible. So they require that I submit attendance for you every single day. And so what that takes is just logging in to your course for about 5 minutes in the materials section in order for Schoology to catch that, yep, you attended that day. Okay, so you can even do it, start your day by logging into all of your classes, log attendance in every single class, and then focus in on just one class if you want to, or tackle that work the way that you want to. But you do have to log in daily for attendance. I take attendance about 4 o'clock every day, and I look at the last 24 hours of logins. Okay, so if you logged in, say let's say it's actually, here are examples right here. It's Tuesday at 2 o'clock, you logged in. I count that as attendance on Tuesday, because at 4 o'clock when I look, I'm like, oh, yep, they were in at 2 o'clock. They were here. If you logged in at 4:30, it's after I took attendance for Tuesday, it counts as attendance on Wednesday. Okay, so because the next day when I take attendance at 4 o'clock, I'll see, oh, yep, they were in within 24 hours. They were present for the day. Friday logins after 4 o'clock count for Monday. Okay, so any logins over the weekend will count for Monday. All right, so it's just, if you just pick a pretty standard time and log in at that time every day, it's not a big deal to make sure that your attendance gets logged. Okay, but sometimes students are confused about that, so I just want to make sure that I'm clear. As long as you're logging in daily, it won't be a problem. Let's see, I do use a total point system in class, but in general, essays are worth enough that they're about 20% of your grade, discussions are about 10%, and other assignments count for the other 70%. I do round letter grades, so from 89.5 up is an A, etc. You can see the distribution here. Let's see, talking about discussion boards and making sure that you are participating in them. They're a super important part of our class. Making sure that you're reading the update feed. I talked about that in the course tour, how important that update feed is. Also, plagiarism. Be very careful to avoid plagiarism. It's relatively easy to plagiarize in an online class, but it's also really easy to catch. So please don't do it. Do your own work. I want to see your brain grow, not you copying someone else's growth, okay? If you're struggling with an assignment, you're not sure you can get it done on time, or you don't know how to do it, that's what I'm here for. Please contact me. I'm more than happy to help you. Do make sure that you're respectful in the class, that you're using proper netiquette. There's information here about that, and then some things about how to get help. Okay, so review that syllabus for me. And once you have done that, you can click on the next button. And there's a survey here. It will ask you your first and last name, that you've read and understood all the policies for class. It asks whether you're full or part-time student, email address, text message address, your preferred way to communicate. If I know that you really prefer a phone call, then I can lean towards doing that. If I know that you prefer text messaging, I can lean towards sending you texts. And then just a brief thing about how have you done in past English courses. That just helps me know how I can help you. Okay? And then once you have that done, the next page is a Dropbox page with no Dropbox. I know that's a little confusing, but this is just where I'll enter your grade that you submitted the syllabus quiz on the previous page. Next step, text or email reminders. I have I use Remind 101 in this class, and it will send you a reminder the day before you have an assignment due in class, okay? You can either subscribe to that list via your phone and text messaging, or you can do it via email. I don't care which way you do it, but you must sign up for one way or the other so that you have those reminders, okay? So if you are doing it via text, you're going to pick up your handy dandy phone, enter this number, and then this message. Once you do that, it'll reply to you and ask you your first and last name, and that's how you actually subscribe to my list so that you get those reminders. For email, there is an email address right here that you're going to send a message to, and it'll do the same thing. It'll reply to you and ask you your full name for subscribing to the list. All right, I'll give you 10 points for doing that. There's lots of easy points in this orientation. Software update, you just want to make sure that you have a word processing program and a presentation program. If you have Microsoft Office, you're set. You can also use Google Drive for all of that if that's your preference, or you can use OpenOffice. There's a link here for how to use OpenOffice. It is free, and it is a great alternative for if you don't want to buy Office. Okay. Also, you want to make sure you have a functioning Google account. We use a lot of Google Drive documents and Google tools in this course. If you're a Jeffco student, you already have a Google address. Southwest Colorado eSchool students, you also have a Google address. And so just make sure that you have a functioning Google account, because there will be lots of times where I'll say log in with Google, and you want to make sure you have that. All right. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to introduce yourself to me using PEA writing. PEA writing is just essentially being sure to include evidence and analysis within what you're writing. There's some directions here on how to do that. Please make sure that you are reviewing that, because we will use PEA writing throughout this course. All right. Essentially, I'm asking that anytime I'm asking you a question, that you are giving me the answer to that question. That's the point. The evidence, where you explain to me how you know it's true, and the analysis, where you connect those two. Explain to me how the evidence proves your point. There's an example PEA response right here that you can take a look at. And there's also an example down here at the bottom. What I'm going to ask you to do is to take these 4 questions and respond to them in PEA format. Okay, so these are questions about you. So fairly simple. How have past English classes been for you, and why do you think that they went that way? You can see how you could provide a point, evidence, and analysis for that. If you're not sure, take a look at this example down here. I wrote it. Oh, let's see. I didn't want to download it. I want to do it here. I wrote it so that you could see an example of what I'm looking for, and this is written from my perspective. How have past English classes been for you? And I gave the explanation there. Okay? So once you have that assignment complete, you're going to submit it to the Dropbox. I'm going to jump over into a student account so I can show you how to use the Dropbox. Hopefully you've done that before in IOL or in other courses, but just in case you haven't, this is what the Dropbox looks like. I'm going to click Submit Assignment. Then I have the option, I can click Create and just type my assignment here, or I can upload a file. Most of the time you're going to want to upload a file. I'm going to click on this File button. Choose my PEA Introduction assignment and click Submit. Once I've done that, it'll say Assignment Submitted, and hey, how about that? I submitted it on time. Okay, so you're going to submit that to the Dropbox. Next step is occasionally throughout the semester, I'll ask you to set up an appointment with me to talk about how things are going. So we're going to do an initial introduction phone call so that I can get to know you a little better. What I'm going to ask you to do is to sign up for an appointment time to do that. Sometime before September 10th, you can use the arrows right here to select a different appointment time. What you do is just choose that time, and then it's going to give you a little form to fill out, and you click Submit, and you'll automatically go onto my calendar, and I will look forward to visiting with you then. And getting to know you a little better. And then finally, we're going to get to know each other through a discussion board. And so in this discussion, you're just going to introduce yourself to the class. Who are you? Why did you decide to take English 12 online? And then answer this question: if you could visit any place in the world for a month, where would you go and why? In order to earn full credit, you need to do an initial post as well as 3 follow-up posts replying to other people. Again, make sure that you're being school appropriate, but also encouraging of other students and asking questions to keep that discussion moving and deepen it. Okay? You'll get 10 points for initial response, 10 points for responding to other students. And that is the end of our session. Note that this little guy with the laptop and his arms raised in the air is at the end of every single session. That's your cue that you hit the last page of the session. If you keep clicking next, it'll keep going to the next session, and you probably don't want to continue doing that. And once you finish a session, you call it good. All right? Let me know if you have questions, and have a great first few days of school. Thanks.